keeping people up on what I'm thinking in the show, and just like all these, magnificent opportunities to talk about the show. I really appreciate the fact that you guys had me on, and now I'm awake. I'm up for the rest of the day. So it's funny. We actually moved to Seattle. My wife is a pediatrician, and so she left UCLA and now works for the Seattle Children's Hospital as well as University of Washington, Seattle. So I'm going to be the one commuting for the show. But, so I'm still unpacking books and stuff like that. So I'm actually in my office, my home office. But it's like, I can't wait to knock on wood, get working on, if we get the opportunity, season 2 of Luke Cage. So the only way that happens, the only way that you guys will someday see what's bubbling in my head is if you tweet and react to the show as it's happening. So please, if people listen to this show, like, just react to the show. If you love it, if you hate it, doesn't matter. Just tweet about it. Comment on Facebook. Get out any way you can. Even comments on this podcast. Everything helps, because the more that people respond to shows like this, it emboldens people like myself and people like Ava DuVernay and Donald Glover and, the other powers that be to keep giving diverse, deep experiences, because we can point to the fact that, look, there's an audience for it that loves it, because I think after a certain extent, people are saying, like, you know what, like, let's see what happens if we actually let people from the culture, write about the culture and act in the culture without asking us for input on that, on a cultural level. I mean, and they're really seeing it pay off. I mean, I still can't believe Donald Glover got away with Atlanta. And I want him to keep getting away with it, because, just watching that show, I mean, it's such genius. And the victory for that show, honestly, I don't know, this is supposed to be a Luke Cage podcast, but fuck it. I mean, for me, it's that it's the first black show in the history of entertainment that's about nothing. Because anytime you pitch a black show, it has to be about something. You either have to do a movie about the first black person to do something, or it's got to have some tension because there has to be some eventual goal. And this is the first black show like Girls. I mean, you watch Girls, and I do watch Girls. And one of the things I love about what Lena Dunham did is that she basically, did a really nasty version of Seinfeld, because it's just really just a show about nothing, right, about people's personalities and how they live life. But African Americans up until this point never had that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing about this with Atlanta, yes, it's about the burgeoning rap scene and, the kind of a fuck up that wants to become a manager. But like, you have these moments of just like realness and just these conversations that just go nowhere, but you just sit in these moments that we all recognize from our lives from, watching that show is like reminding me of like my 20s. I'm like, man, it's just like, I hope this cat makes it. It's just really, so many great moments. And, Lakeith, I can't remember Lakeith's last name. He was straight out of Compton. He, was also on Selma, the brother who's high all the time on the show.
I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember his last name either.
Yeah, no, he's all of them are the truth. The guy who's playing Paperboy.
Yeah.
He's great too. I mean,
they're all good.
He reminds me of Big, really, because the great thing about watching that show is like when people ask me like, what was it really like to hang out with Notorious B.I.G.? And I'm like, yeah, it was like hanging out with Paperboy, honestly, because there's kind of like this drug dealer vibe, but then at the same time, there's this humor about looking at his surroundings, and then there's also some intellectual moments that you just wouldn't anticipate from being in that situation. And I think that's really what the show captures so well, is the fact that, again, no matter what you think we are, we always show that we are something deeper and something different. And I think that's really the most exciting thing about, this new renaissance. And really, kind of want to pull everything back to Luke Cage. That's really what Luke Cage is ultimately about. It's like, yes, it's a superhero show, but it's really a Trojan horse for sophisticated black culture, because we're coming real with that shit. And I really think that hopefully the way that we were able to trick an entire generation of people who never heard of Gangstar and they're listening to the music thinking that they're going to get plot points, And instead what they did was got an education on old school hip hop. It kind of sets the palette for everything else, because if you walk away from anything else from this show, it's not just in terms of, Luke versus Cottonmouth. It's also, you're going to know who Christopher Saddix is. You're going to know what all this cultural stuff is, but in a really fun way. So who knows? I mean, I can't wait for people to see this show and ultimately have fun with it.
Well, we can't wait either. We are huge stans here at the Black Girl Nerds community of Luke Cage, and September 30th is when the show drops on Netflix. We will be live tweeting it and use the hashtag Sweet Christmas. Cheo, if you want to jump in with us, you're invited.
Oh, I'll be there. I mean, I'll be actually. I wanted to be home. I wanted this to be home. Like, I bought a TV to actually watch the show. I used it as my excuse to finally upgrade to 4K. So I was all ready to be home on the 30th and, Netflix and chill with my family. But, I got to promote the show. I'm actually going to be in DC at Howard University on the day that it opens. Simone and I, Simone is a HU alum. We're supposed to, actually speak, and I think either show an episode or show clips, but the thing is I can't wait for the 30th. Sweet Christmas is a great hashtag. So definitely Sweet Christmas, hashtag Luke Cage. I mean, yes, man.
We'll be on it. And also we're using Misty So Lit, and Simone acknowledged that hashtag. So yeah, we're going to be pretty much every hashtag that will be trending on Twitter that day will be for Luke Cage. Guaranteed.
I hope so. What's going to happen? My prediction. I would say just, you've seen the episodes. I would just tell the world that's listening to this podcast, get some sleep, because you're not going to sleep if you watch one episode of Luke Cage.
Yep.
I think it's the most addictive Netflix series since Narcos. I think it's going to be the thing where it's like you say, you know what, let me just watch the first two, see if I can get to the show. And you get to the first episode, and you'll be like, it's cool, it's culture, I like the music, but it's kind of slow. And then you get to that last scene, and then you go, okay, let me see what they do with the second one. Then you get to the second one, and then you're going to be like, oh man, I'm tired of fucking, I'm going to watch the third one. Then when you watch the third one, after Bring the Ruckus, yeah, you're going to be up. And then we need the fourth one, you see the tiara, okay, let me see what happens with 5. The next thing you know, you're going to be in episode 7. And then after you get to 7, then you're really going to be pissed at us. Because with the way we leave 7,
that's why I was so mad. I was like, y'all only gave us 7 episodes to screen. Like, I gotta see more after this episode 7. So you're right.
But that was the thing about 7 was that I think people might have thought that we built for that cliffhanger, but we didn't. I mean, we just wanted there to be a pivot. I mean, my rule for the show was that every 4th episode is a pivot episode. So if every episode is an act, episode 1 is act 1, episode 2 is act 2, episode 3 is act 3, and then the 4th episode is a pivot. And so we do that 3 times. So when you get that kind of shift, if you don't have the stamina to watch all 13 episodes at once, I would say watch them in blocks of 4, because that way you get a kind of complete story with a twist, and then it's up to you if you want to keep going. But I think the thing that's great about it is that the show just has a continual, rise of tension, so that instead of it going like this and then plateauing, we just go straight the entire time.
Okay, that's what we will do. Watch it in blocks of 4, and I also plan to live tweet it on Friday night, Saturday night, and then going into Sunday. So that's what we'll do.
All right, cool.
Thank you again, Cheo, for coming on our show. It's awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
The next 2 segments feature previous episodes that we've done, one with Simone Missick, who's playing Misty Knight, and also our roundtable interviews over at San Diego Comic-Con. So we're going to play these episodes in our special Luke Cage show just for you. Welcome to this segment of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. My name is Jamie. I am your host. I am so excited, guys! We have Simone Missick here. Simone is playing Misty Knight in Marvel's Luke Cage series that you can find on Netflix. It will debut on September 30th. All of us are going to be all over that on Twitter. And I am so excited to have her here to talk to us about it. Thank you, Simone, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah. And we have our lovely co-hosts, Karan and Latanya on. Thank you, ladies, for coming on.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
So I want to start. I want to call you Misty. I don't know. It's really about to call you Misty. So Simone, can you tell us a little bit about how you landed the role of Misty Knight, and did you read any of the comics?
So for the first part, I just auditioned. You know, it was a very simple process. It was probably the easiest audition I've ever had in my entire career. And yeah, I did. I put myself on tape in my living room with my husband reading the lines, and then went in and had an audition and booked the job. Found out like maybe a couple days later. It was an unnaturally easy process, which is how you kind of know when spirit just lines up and God just puts you where you need to be, and what is meant for you is meant for you. So yeah, that was how the audition process and the job landing happened. And then I had no familiarity with Misty as a character. I hadn't read the comic books growing up or even prior to booking the job. And then once I did get the job, I kind of, wanted to keep as much of the comics and reading the comics as minimal as possible, because I knew that we were doing something different. I didn't want to feel kind of, locked into the idea of who Misty Knight is versus really just as an actor immersing myself in the words that, our writers and our creator had come up with. So I haven't read a lot of Misty Knight comics. I've kind of skimmed, but the head of Marvel, Jeff Loeb, was kind of like, if you go into a comic book store and you try to buy some Misty Knight comics, people are gonna know. So he kind of terrified me from even going into a comic book store and buying some. So I haven't done the reading of the work yet.
2 suggestions: Daughters of the Dragon with Colleen Wing, and Fearless Defenders.
I have not heard of that one.
Yes. Fearless Defenders is awesome because it's an all-women team. And it's women of all different nationalities. There's a Native American character, there's a Hispanic character, of course Misty, and then there's also a queer woman. So it's a lot of intersectionality and diversity, and it's a really great comic. So those are my suggestions. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yes. So it seems lately superheroines and villains are finally getting solo films. Captain Marvel and also Black Widow and Harley Quinn was recently announced. However, all of these women are white, and we need a black superheroine, and Misty Knight, I think Misty Knight is definitely closer than any other woman of color heroine right now. So why do you think it's taking so long? And are you prepared to say yes if you're offered a solo film?
Hell yes. I am prepared to say yes. Doesn't Oprah say yes to everything? I mean, yes. I would absolutely be honored and be prepared and be excited about the prospect of what that is. And in terms of why it's taking so long, I think that one of the things that being a part of this show and being a part of the Marvel family has really opened up to my understanding is how many people of color, not just Black, but people of color, read comics, read comic books, go and support, films that are based off of that. And I think that it's the lie that's been told in Hollywood about so many films starring people of color. Oh, it won't sell overseas, or oh, there isn't the interest for it, or oh, it won't do well financially. And it's a lie, but it is a lie that's kind of been around since the creation of film, So I think that the testing of the waters comes from having non-women of color star in their own films, and then very slowly, this has been the history. they will then say, okay, well, let's try, this person. Let's see how that does. We have